Hello Year 5, it's Mr. Dice here again. This is our fourth and final, I'm afraid, work on collage. So I've got a little standalone, something that you can do just over 1 week, and it's to do with something which we call perspective. It's something that's going to take your eye and lead you into the most important part of the picture that we're going to create. And hopefully you would have brought in something that's going to be something quite special for you, that's going to go in the middle of this piece of work. And again, we're going to concentrate on doing the background first of all. And the background is going to be 2 colorways, 2 different colors. And then that's going to, the way that we're going to lay out the paper is going to lead our eye into the center part of the picture, which we call the focal point. It's the most important part of that picture. So without further ado, I, as usual, will show you what to do. So here we have an example of something that we're trying to create this afternoon, and you can see that the colorways, I've got 2 different colors, and this color, which gives us these lines which are taking our eye towards the central point, the focal point, are going to be the same. These 2 are going to be the same color. So we've got contrasting colors or complementary colors, whichever way you'd like to look at it. Here I've got my piece of interest, which is, I'll try and show you because it's not quite stuck. It's something I've cut from a magazine, which is a front door, and then around it I've got these little pieces of the tiles that I cut off when I cut that bit. So this bit can be anything, and the colorways can be your choices. So if I take that off, I've got just some color things that I took. I quite like the strong line in this one, so I've taken that, and so we've got something different, and again that's where our focus of attention's on. But you can cut out basically anything you want at all that's going to be something that you're interested in. It could be round, it could be a cutout of a person, it could be whatever, but this is going to be the focal point, the most important point on the piece of paper. I'm going to go back to that one because I like that one best of all. I like that one because it takes you on through that. Here these lines follow there, but it can be anything that you have at all. So I'll show you how to go about making that. It's quite simple and straightforward. We need 2 contrasting pieces of paper. So this is going to be one piece here that's going to be the base, as it were, and this piece I'm going to use for the lines and the colour. So this is the only tricky bit we need to do. I'm going to fold this piece of paper, but I want to make it into 2/3. So I'm going to, instead of measuring it, I'm just going to estimate it. So what I'm going to do is to fold this piece of paper over. Now you should see what I'm trying to do is to make this appear to be half of what we've got here. So the distance between here and here is the same as the distance between here and here. So I've just folded it up, and I'm just doing it roughly by eye, and I think now I could make a rough measurement. That and that is about the same. So now I've got that, I'm going to carefully fold it. I'm going to run my thumb down it. So I've now got a nice, so now I've got 2/3 and 1/3. So all I'm going to do now is to cut down through. I'm going to cut this quite carefully through there, and I've got a nice sharp fold, so that's fine. So I'm going to leave my 1/3, and I'm going to take my 2/3, the larger piece, and I'm just going to glue very quickly. You do it carefully around the edges of this. So this will now fit onto this piece of paper. Now you can see it won't fit that way because it's too small, so make sure you've got it round the right way, and that will cover up 2/3 of the blue. So I don't want to see any blue at all apart from the two. So now we've got 2/3 red, 1/3 blue, and that's the most difficult thing to do. Now we also need this third, because this bit's going to do the lines that are going to take us through. So the only thing you need to remember on this one is we're going to take these lines, we're going to use long thin strips of this, so not short thick ones, long thin ones. So this just shows how good your cutting is. You want quite thin strips of this paper. I'm not measuring them out or anything, I'm just cutting them. And I'm cutting it so I've got long thin pieces. So you can go through and cut as many as you want. When you've got a few, then we're going to start sticking. And the first one, or the first two, are quite important. And again, let me use my gluing technique, and we know that this is quite tricky because this is going to break if we put too much pressure on it. So I'm just going to run that through the glue, and somewhere in the middle I'm going to put that one like this. Now I'm going to try and get it so that it fits over the blue. It doesn't matter if it comes over the red a little bit because you won't see that too much. So that's the first one that we've done. It's gone over the red a bit, but that won't matter because we're going to stick something over it. Now the next one that I'm going to cut is I'm going to put it like so, and that's going to be, whoops, let's put that down. Now that's not going to be parallel, we're going to space it out. So the space here on this side is bigger than the space on this side. And once we've got those two okay, you'll notice that I've got long flaps. Don't worry about that because in a moment we're going to cut those off. Now I'm just going to carry on a little bit for you. So I'm going to keep them spaced out at the top. The spacing stays pretty much the same. It doesn't get bigger or smaller, it stays the same. But as you come down, it's going to get slightly wider. Can you see what I've done there? So on this side, the spaces are staying the same. They're quite closely grouped together. And on this side, they're getting wider. Let me just put one more on for you so you can see what we're doing. So I'll put one more like so. So the space at the top stays the same. The space here at the bottom gets slightly wider. And you can see now that we're starting to get that view. It's like looking down train tracks, giving us the perspective. So I'll carry on with that. I'll come back in a minute and show you when I'm finished. Right, welcome back. So what I've done, I've taken all of these now down and I've kept the spaces at the top fairly similar, and the ones at the bottom are quite spaced out, so it fans out. And I had quite a lot of long overlapping bits that came with it, so all I did, I just snipped those off with my scissors, so I've got a nice finished piece of work there. Now this is our background, so that's that bit finished. And now what we want to do is to add to that background. So this is going to be the focal point here, and that's what we really need to work on. So we're going to take the thing that you brought in, and I'm going to use this one on here because I think it's quite nice. So I'm going to, I'd brought in my own piece of picture or illustration or something cut from a magazine. The interest is going to be there, hopefully, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that on like so. And then, of course, I've got to make sure that is fairly central. So that's the start of my collage. Now I've got space around here to add and embellish things. So I'm going to take some of this because I quite like the blue of the sky here. I'm just going to snip the top of the page off with the white. And I'm going to come like so. And I'm going to see how I can fit this in. So I might cut that in half. And again, it's always with collage, it's always sensible to make sure that you like what you're doing before you stick it down. So move it around the paper and see if that's what you really want, whether it needs to be closer or further apart. I think slightly closer actually will do. So again, it's up to you now. You've got the basics, you've got the base, you've got your important thing that you're going to focus on, and you've got around here that you can add to. Now again, I would say it's great to add things, but you've got to know when to stop, and that's part of the whole process, and so that's what we're learning today. So I'm just going to I'm going to keep it because mine is going in lines, but you might have something that's very, I don't know, cloud shaped or circular or something like that. So there we are. I'm going to leave that at that. But you might want to put, like I had in the original one, if I can find that for you. So slightly different colorways and slightly different approach. So have fun with that, and I hopefully will see you during the Zoom later on this week. Have fun as ever. Bye.